breakfast?
What'd you say?
What do you want for breakfast?
I don't care.
Do you want it hot or cold?
I can't hear you.
Never mind. Why can't he make up his mind? Oh, well.
While she gets Tom's breakfast, let's take a closer look at that pan. The iron ore for that pan came from the Mesabi Range. So let's start there and see what happened. Maybe it'll give us an idea of just what it is we have. Nature put the iron ore there, but it wasn't worth anything until men came along. Men with tools. These are the best workmen and the best tools on earth. As you look at what it takes to make one steel pan, think about why these men are so much better, why their tools are so much better. You can't make a pan only with iron ore. You need coal. You need other raw materials. Limestone must be quarried. It takes a lot of know-how to make iron and steel. Coal must be reduced to coke before it can be used. You need fluorspar, manganese, scrap iron, scrap steel. It takes all of this and more just to produce the basic steel. This is what men can do if you give them a chance. Give them economic freedom. Economic freedom in this country means that you and everybody else is free to work, to make things, to produce. That's one part of it. You're free to buy and sell, to make a profit or a loss. That's the second part. And you're free to save and to invest in more and better tools. That's the third part. And it all adds up to the great gift of economic freedom. Keep it in mind as you watch these men and their tools. Come a long way from nature, but those sheets still have to be shipped somewhere before you can manufacture the pan. Let's see what happens next. Now the pan is about ready to be offered for sale. A lot of labor is already invested in that pan, but you can't see the men who made it or all the tools they used. You can't see the thousands and thousands of people whose savings are invested in those tools. You can't see a thing like freedom either, but it's there. The great gift of freedom. Freedom to work, to make things, to produce. freedom to buy and sell, to bargain freely, to exchange what we have for what we want. Freedom to save and to invest in the tools that multiply our productive power. He didn't have to display that pan or try to sell it, but he's free to try. Just as Midge didn't have to come into this store. She was free to make her own private individual choice, free to be ruthless in her search for more and better goods and services at lower prices. But she decided to come into this particular store to look for a pan. That isn't the only pan. She has a choice of iron, steel, copper bottoms, aluminum, but she selected this particular one. Now, here's what really happens. At the time she buys this pan, she has hired all the workers and all the tools clear back to the mine. What she is able and willing to pay for that pan has to pay all the costs all the way back to nature, including the cost of something else you can't see. The cost of government. And the cost of government, remember, is paid by all the direct and indirect taxes you pay. Well, now we know something about where the pan came from. How about the eggs? Well, let's see. Nature supplied the land, but men made it produce the feed for those chickens. You can go in the egg business if you want to. That's what economic freedom means. When Tom bought the eggs, he employed all the tools, all the workers, all the way back to the farm. Tom had to work with tools to earn enough to buy that pan. He had to work with tools to earn enough to buy the eggs. He used money as the transfer agent. Now, you can't eat money or fry eggs in it, but it's important. And it's easy to be fooled about money. How about it, Tom? What can you do with your take-home pay?
Give it to Midge. If I didn't, she'd bat my ears down.
And I would, too.
Well, that's all right. Now, let's look into what money is and what it does. Take Tom. He works near the end of an assembly line and gets paid in dollars and cents for work with tools and with materials supplied to him. In other words, one way to earn money is through work using your brains and muscles, your skills, your know-how, for so many dollars and cents. Money has no fixed value. It has no value except at the moment you buy something with it. For example, you've seen the price of eggs jump around. Sometimes half a dollar will buy a dozen eggs, sometimes more than a dozen, sometimes less. In other words, your take-home pay is worth what you can buy with it when you buy it. And what you pay for anything, remember, has to cover all the costs of producing it, transporting it, and selling it, plus taxes which must be paid to operate the federal, state, and local governments.
Yeah, but I didn't have to buy these eggs. If they get too high, we don't eat eggs.
That's your privilege, so long as you live in a free country. You didn't have to buy this house either.
That was my idea.
It means something to own your own home. Not that I own it yet.
Nobody told you you had to buy it, or that you couldn't buy it either.
We figure that every dollar we put into this house is just like saving a dollar.
The house is real, but the dollar value, and don't forget this, is what somebody will pay you for it when you want to sell it or rent it.
We don't want to rent it.
Yes, but it's nice to know you could if you had to.
That's the second way you can get paid.
How do you mean?
There are two ways to earn money. You can be paid for work, any kind of work that produces goods or services, or you can be paid for the use of something you saved and bought, something you own, private property. To get the tools and the materials you work with, the conveyor belts and all the rest of what it takes to build an assembly line, millions of people like you saved and invested their savings in stocks and bonds. And it was their savings that made these tools possible. This was the money that bought the land, built the buildings, and provided all the facilities, power, running water, and thousands of other things that people ordinarily don't think about. All of these things are tools, and tools always come from the investment of savings. Let's put it this way. If you rented a room in your house, or the whole house, would you expect to be paid for it?
Yeah, sure, why not?
If you saved and invested some money in your company, would you expect to be paid?
Well, sure. Only I don't have that kind of money.
You've got a life insurance policy, haven't you?
Yeah?
Savings account in the bank?
Yes, a little one.
That's not like buying stock.
Well, what do you think the insurance company or the bank, for instance, does with money?
Use it. Invest it, I guess.
That's right. Money is a medium of exchange, a transfer agent. They take your money and buy an interest in private property, the tools you work with, so that every dollar you save goes freely to work. The fact that most people in this country have life insurance, a bank account, stocks, or bonds, means that practically all of us have invested in the tools that produce the goods and services and comforts our lives depend on. That's how we get our tools. That's what happens with economic freedom. The farmers work close to nature, and most of them supply the manpower too, both management and labor. They know where their tools come from and what it takes to maintain them, to replace them with more and better tools. What we have in this country is so good and so successful that too many of us just take it for granted. What we have started with the official purpose of our limited government, and it grew because of our hard-won gift of freedom. Real individual freedom protected by law and the secret ballot. The best workmen and the best tools on earth. And the most democratic way of getting more and better tools. Not through forced savings and forced labor. We're free to save and to invest in productive property, in the tools that multiply our total production of goods and services. 10 million workplaces where we're free to work, to make things, to produce, free to buy or sell, to make a profit or a loss, free to try out new ideas, new products, new methods, free to get more and still better tools which multiply our total production, shorten our work hours, and keep lifting our standard of living. We have plenty of problems, but with all the things we don't do, with all our mistakes, we do have political and economic freedom, and we're far better off than the rest of the world. That's what we have, and it's worth talking about. Let's talk about just exactly what we have in these United States and what it means to you.